Here's the thing about Persona's formula. That blend of daily life simulation, relationship building, calendar management, and dungeon crawling. It's incredibly specific, but when developers nail it, it creates something magical. And while everyone knows about the big names, there's an entire ecosystem of games inspired by Atlus's masterpiece that deserves way more attention. So today, we're diving deep into the Persona-like genre. I'm talking games that understand the assignment, social simulation meets combat, time management that actually matters, style for days, and that anime aesthetic we all love. I'll also have an honorable mention section at the end for games that I think Persona lovers will enjoy, but don't quite hit all of the criteria for the main list. So let's jump in. First up is Varlet, where you play as a transfer student at Kosei Academy, the first school to implement a cross-reality virtual network called Johari. Think of it as an everything app that's used for social networking, shopping, and basically controlling your entire life. But here's where things get dark. Students who become too consumed by their desire for approval start disappearing into otherworldly glitches, surreal dimensions born from people's hopes and desires. Even worse, monsters from these glitches are replacing students in the real world, and nobody realizes what's happening. What makes Varlet special is its triad stats system that shapes your character based on moral choices. Your personality quiz at the start determines your initial stats, and your choices throughout affect not just dialogue options, but your passive battle skills. The combat uses a timeline command system where you can see the turn order and plan your strategy accordingly. The daily life segments have you roaming Kosei Academy as part of the Student Support Services Guild, solving student troubles around campus. Your mileage may vary, but if you're interested in a neo-persona-like that tackles modern themes of online identity and social pressure, Varlet offers something genuinely different. Next, let's talk about Blue Reflection, a magical girl RPG that brings Persona's formula to the world of transforming heroines. You play as Hinako Shirai, a talented ballet dancer whose career came to a devastating end after a knee injury. Unable to dance anymore, she's closed herself off to the world until she meets the Shijo twins, who bestow upon her the power of a reflector, a magical girl champion who can manipulate a mysterious parallel dimension called the Common. The Persona influences are crystal clear. The game follows a day cycle with morning school segments where you'll attend classes and interact with fellow students, answering questions that affect your relationships. Close friendships enable additional support benefits during battles and affect character attitudes towards you during story sequences. Your character progression is tied entirely to relationships rather than grinding battles. You gain growth points by completing bond episodes with classmates and date events at locations like movie theaters, festivals, and shops. Successfully completing missions forges stronger links with characters and unlock powerful new abilities. The stronger your friendships, the more powerful you become. Combat features a turn-based battle system with real-time elements. The visual presentation is gorgeous, with Mel Kishida's distinctive character designs bringing the magical girl aesthetic to life. If you're a fan of magical girl anime and want to see that aesthetic combined with Persona-style gameplay, Blue Reflection offers something genuinely special. Blue Reflection Second Light takes everything great about the original and refines it while adding crafting and base building elements. You play as Ayo Hoshizaki, who awakens in a mysterious isolated high school surrounded by water with no other people around. He meets 3 other girls who have been there longer and are equally confused. All 4 have mysterious rings that appeared on their fingers when they arrived, and they receive ominous messages from someone called Resource, warning them to stay away from a place called the Faraway. When they inevitably enter the Faraway and get attacked by demons, Resource instructs them to use their rings and emotions to create weapons and become reflectors, magical girls who can fight these supernatural threats. As they venture into parallel dimensions called Heartscapes, they slowly begin to recall their memories and uncover the mystery of why they're trapped in the first place. The social simulation aspects remain crucial, with relationships between characters being extremely important. However, Second Light expands on this with academy development. You can now craft items and build facilities around the school that aid gameplay. If you enjoy the first Blue Reflection or want a magical girl RPG with more gameplay variety, Second Light delivers a refined experience with crafting, base building, and heartfelt character moments. Eternights asks the question, what if the apocalypse hit during the best summer of your life? This dating action game blends Persona's calendar system with hack and slash combat in one of the most stylish indie releases of 2023. You play as a guy who, alongside his best friend Chani, created dating app profiles hoping to score dates. The day you're supposed to meet a mysterious woman on a yacht, the world goes sideways. The core loop is pure Persona-inspired time management. Monday, go on a date. Tuesday, clear a dungeon. Friday, freak out because the clock is ticking. You have limited days before each deadline, forcing you to choose between dungeon crawling to get stronger or dating to deepen relationships and unlock character abilities. The action combat features stylish combos and character-specific abilities that unlock as you deepen those relationships. If you want Persona's calendar-based progression and social simulation, but with action combat and a post-apocalyptic twist, all in a package that respects your time, Eternights is absolutely worth your attention. Moving on to Tokyo Xanadu EX+. This action RPG from Nihon Falcom takes clear inspiration from Persona while carving out its own identity. When high school student Ko Tokisaka encounters the nightmare realm known as the Eclipse, his world is forever changed. What sets Tokyo Xanadu apart from Persona is its approach to time management. There's no strict calendar system. Instead, Ko has free reign to explore Morimiya City and interact with characters during social segments between dungeon runs. The game features bonding episodes rather than social links. You use items called relationship fragments to trigger events that reveal more about characters and increase their soul levels, which impacts their combat effectiveness. The combat is pure action RPG. Each dungeon grades your performance, encouraging replayability as you optimize your runs for S ranks. You'll face greeds, monsters from the Eclipse, using real-time hack and slash combat with elemental weaknesses to exploit. The game features intelligence, courage, and virtue stats that unlock dialogue options, and you can spend your free time taking on side quests, playing minigames, or deepening relationships with your fellow wielders of soul devices, weapons manifestations of your inner strength. The EX Plus version adds side stories for most playable characters, an after story continuing months past the main ending, and Mysterious White Shroud as a player character. With over 40 hours of content and a completely revised English localization for the recent Switch port, this is the definitive way to experience Falcom's urban fantasy adventure. Now for something a bit different, Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you play as Byleth, a former mercenary who becomes a professor invited to teach one of the three houses, the Black Eagles, Blue Lions, or Golden Deer, each comprised of students with distinct personalities and represented by royalty from different territories. The Persona connection, the monastery exploration phases between battles. The game's time is divided between story-based battles that advance the main narrative and periods at Garreg Mach, where you interact with students and staff. During free days, you'll explore the monastery on foot, engaging in social activities, sharing meals at the cafeteria to build support levels, returning lost items you find scattered around campus, giving birthday gifts, inviting students to tea parties, fishing in the pond, gardening, and even choir practice. What makes the support system brilliant is its direct gameplay impact. Building support between characters unlocks conversations that develop their stories, but also grants crucial combat benefits like linked attacks, stat bonuses when fighting adjacent, and the ability to guard each other from fatal blows. Characters with higher support levels perform dramatically better in battle together. What makes Three Houses special is how your social bonds completely change the story's trajectory. The game splits into 4 dramatically different routes based on your house choice and key decisions, with characters you've bonded with potentially becoming enemies in other routes. It's heartbreaking. The relationships you've carefully cultivated can lead to tragedy depending on your path. The turn-based tactical combat is pure Fire Emblem, but the social simulation elements make this feel like Persona with a medieval fantasy coat. Loop 8, Summer of Gods, takes the calendar system and relationship mechanics to an almost overwhelming level of complexity, with its time loop RPG set in 1980s rural Japan. Step into the life of Nini, a newly earthbound teen who arrives in the quaint Japanese town of Ashihara in August 1983, after his space station was destroyed by demons. Nini has a magical ability called Demon Sight that allows him to loop time when he fails to stop the demons or dies in battle. Time resets back to August 1st, and he must relive the entire month all over again. The Persona influences are almost too obvious, but Loop 8 takes things further with its emotion-driven social system called the Corel system. Every single NPC in town has their own schedule, relationships with other characters, and emotional states that dynamically change based on your interactions and their experiences. Characters' moods and behaviors shift depending on location, time of day, and their relationship with others. If you say the wrong thing or make a poor choice, you can damage relationships permanently, and characters might not help you in critical moments. There's no traditional leveling system. Instead, you grow stronger by forging deeper bonds and training different stats through everyday activities like working out, studying, or hanging with friends at different times of day. Every stat can be increased via specific activities and conversation options. Combat takes place in the underworld, where you and 2 companions battle in turn-based encounters. Your party members act according to their own emotions and relationships, not your direct control. The bonds you forge determine available attacks and whether characters will protect you. Each loop takes about 8 to 10 hours to complete, and you'll need multiple loops to reach the ending. The game has permadeath for both party members and possessed characters, with over 20 different endings depending on your choices and relationships. If you want a Persona-like that takes the social simulation aspects to a completely new level of complexity and don't mind a steep learning curve, Loop 8 offers something genuinely unique. Just know what you're getting into.
I think I'm pregnant.
Conception Plus is, well, it's certainly unique. This is what happens when you take Persona's social link system and combine it with dungeon crawling and a premise that's impossible to explain without it sounding way more inappropriate than it actually is. The setup: high school student Yuge and his cousin Mahiro are suddenly transported to the magical world of Granvania to save it from evil impurities. As the god's gift, Itsuki Yuge must bond with 12 star maidens, 1 for each zodiac sign, and undergo a ritual called classmating to produce spiritual beings called star children, who serve as your party members in battle. The Persona elements come through the calendar-based bonding system. The game is divided into 12 4-week months, and every time you enter a dungeon, the game advances a week. Each week, you can choose to bond with up to 5 star maidens through events where Itsuki gets to respond in different ways to prompts. These choices affect the maiden's mood and provide bonding points used to perform the classmating ritual. Each maiden has proficiency with certain stats, and the class options available for your star children depend on the maiden chosen and your bond level with them. Higher bond levels create stronger star children with better initial stats and access to more advanced classes. The biggest weakness is how the game leans heavily into fan service with jiggle physics and suggestive classmating scenes. If you can get past the eyebrow-raising concept and fan service though, there's actually a solid dungeon crawler with deep party customization underneath. The Trails of Cold Steel series from Neon Falcom deserves special mention for basically being what if Persona was a political military academy drama with way more world building. You play as Reen Schwarzer, a student selected for the controversial class at the Thor's Military Academy. This special class brings together students from different social backgrounds, commoners and nobles forced to work together against the backdrop of rising political tensions that could eventually lead to civil war. The Persona influences are impossible to miss. The calendar structure divides gameplay into monthly cycles. Each month features free days where you complete student council side quests, earning academic points that rank your overall success, bonding events with classmates, and exploration of the old schoolhouse, a mysterious dungeon with one new floor opening each month. Then comes a field study where Class 7 travels to different regions of Erebonia for story missions. Combat features the Combat Link system, where characters can link together for follow-up attacks when enemies are unbalanced. Link levels between characters determine the effectiveness of these coordinated strikes, support bonuses, and unique team attacks. Characters fighting together in battle gain Link EXP naturally, but bonding events and playing the card game Blade also boost these connections. The world building is incredibly deep, with hundreds of NPCs whose dialogue changes based on story events. You're not just experiencing a school year, you're watching an entire nation evolve through years of political upheaval and war. If you want Persona's social simulation and bonding system in an epic fantasy political drama with turn-based tactical combat and some of the deepest world building in JRPGs, the Cold Steel series is essential. Metaphor ReFantazio is the latest from Persona director Katsura Hashino and his Studio Zero team at Atlus. It's essentially, what if we made Persona but in a high fantasy kingdom? After the King of Urkronia's assassination, his will decrees the next monarch to be elected by the people through a magical tournament. You play as a young man on a quest to lift a curse from the prince while competing in this tournament for the throne. The Persona DNA is undeniable. The calendar system returns. You'll travel across the United Kingdom on the Gauntlet Runner, managing your limited time between dungeon exploration, side quests, and deepening bonds with party members. What makes Metaphor special is its archetype system. Think Persona Demons meets Final Fantasy job system. Each follower unlocks an archetype lineage when you bond with them. Instead of collecting and fusing demons, you unlock archetypes that any party member can equip and level up. Combat takes the press turn system from Shin Megami Tensei and evolves it even further. You can initiate battles in real time by striking enemies on the field, with weaker foes defeated without entering turn-based combat. In proper battles, exploiting weaknesses gives you extra turns, encouraging strategic party composition and archetype usage. The narrative tackles themes of prejudice, classism, and the nature of utopia through its fantasy lens. With over 80 hours of content and that signature Atlus polish in art direction and UI design, Metaphor ReFantazio is essential for Persona fans. Let's take a trip to the Alps with Dungeons of Hinterberg, an action-adventure that brilliantly merges dungeon crawling with social vacation vibes. You play as Louisa, a burnt-out law firm associate who's taken a vacation to this magical resort town to clear her head by conquering dungeons. Because apparently that's what people do for fun here. All relationships are tracked in a logbook with a 3-star system, so you can monitor your connections. Entire gameplay mechanics are locked behind building specific friendships, meaning your social choices directly impact your dungeon crawling capabilities. The time management is structured around days divided into morning, afternoon, and evening segments. Each morning, you choose which of the 4 zones to explore: the rolling hills, the autumnal forest, the winter wonderland, or the verdant swamps. You spend the day tackling one of the 25 unique dungeons, then return to town in the evening for social activities. The dungeons themselves are beautifully varied, from snowy peaks to mystical forests, each with unique environmental puzzles and combat challenges. You'll use magic abilities, like snowboarding spells and time manipulation to solve puzzles and battle creatures. Think Legend of Zelda style dungeons, but with a magic system that evolves based on your social connections. If you're looking for Persona's social simulation with Zelda-inspired dungeon design, all wrapped in a gorgeous Austrian alpine setting, Dungeons of Hinterberg offers exactly that relaxing yet engaging experience. Bloomtown, A Different Story, takes us to 1960s Americana for a nostalgic yet dark adventure. This narrative JRPG mixes turn-based combat, monster taming, and social RPG elements in a seemingly cozy small town hiding demonic secrets. You play as 12-year-old Emily and her younger brother Chester, sent to spend their summer holiday with Grandpa in the quiet town of Bloomtown. But something's wrong. Children are disappearing, nightmares are becoming real, and a demon world called the Underside is growing beneath the town's pleasant facade. During the day, you'll explore Bloomtown cinema, grocery stores, libraries, and parks, building relationships with the town's people. You can work part-time jobs to earn pocket money, train at the gym to boost stats, do gardening, and strengthen friendships with your group. You can catch weakened creatures from the Underside, then fuse them together using a deep synthesis system to create hundreds of different demons. Each demon represents the fears and vices of Bloomtown's residents. You're quite literally battling the inner demons of the townspeople to save their souls. At around 30 to 40 hours for a complete playthrough, Bloomtown offers a substantial adventure, and if you're looking for Persona meets Earthbound in a 1960s setting, Bloomtown delivers that specific itch. Let's end the main list with Demon School, a tactics RPG that blends Persona calendar system with unique grid-based combat in an absolutely striking supernatural setting. You play as Faye, a student at an Italian university on a mysterious island. But this isn't just any school. Demons are invading from the space between human and demon worlds, and you need to assemble a team of misfit students to fight back. The Persona influences show in the duel structure, exploring the mysterious island morning, noon, and night across a full university semester. The social aspects directly tied to combat effectiveness. Characters you've bonded with fight more effectively together and unlock combination abilities. Between battles, you'll explore various parts of the island. The visual style is absolutely striking. Demon School marries 2D sprites with stark lighting and 3D backgrounds, creating something that evokes 70s Italian horror films with manga-influenced art. The game promises a 20 to 25 hour playthrough, making it far more digestible than typical Persona games while still delivering that satisfying blend of social simulation and strategic combat. Your relationship choices affect the game's multiple endings. So if you want Persona's calendar-based progression and social elements, but with truly unique tactical combat and a horror-tinged university setting, Demon School is launching very soon and looks incredibly promising. Now for games that didn't quite hit all the criteria, but deserve your attention. First, we have Sakura Wars, which deserves special recognition as arguably the first game to combine dating simulation with strategy RPG elements. This series uses the innovative live and interaction picture system during conversations, where your timed dialogue choices affect character trust ratings. Trust levels directly impact combat performance. Units with higher trust in the squad leader fight more effectively in battle. The newer 2019 Sakura Wars switches from tactical combat to action RPG battles, but retains the core social simulation elements. You'll explore Tokyo's Imperial Theater, build relationships through timed dialogue choices, and watch as those bonds translate into combat morale that affects your attack and defense stats. If you want the game that pioneered the dating sim strategy fusion that influenced everything from Fire Emblem to Persona, this is essential gaming history. Soul Hackers 2 from Atlas is basically Persona with a cyberpunk coat of paint. You play as Ringo, an agent of Ion trying to save the world from apocalypse in a neon-soaked cyberpunk Japan. You'll explore supernatural dungeons and build bonds with your party members through hangout sessions. The social simulation aspects are there. You can deepen relationships and unlock abilities through bonding. But the dungeon design is a bit repetitive, and the social elements feel a little underdeveloped compared to the mainline Persona game. Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Encore is the wild crossover between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei that somehow works brilliantly. You'll control modern-day teens engaging in dungeon crawling and musical idol performances in Tokyo. The game features relationship building with party members that unlocks new abilities and side stories, plus turn-based combat with Persona-style weaknesses to exploit. Since there's no strict calendar limiting you, the game is entirely schedule-free, letting you progress at your own pace. If you want Persona's combat and social elements without the time pressure, this delivers that with style and an incredible soundtrack. Monark comes from ex-Shin Megami Tensei developers and attempts to create a darker school-based RPG set in Shin Mikado Academy. Shrouded in madness-inducing myths, you must develop your ego through psychological tests and break pacts set by the 7 Pact Bearers. The game features tactical SRPG combat with free movement, choice-based narrative with multiple routes and endings, and ego development that shapes your character based on the 7 sins. Your choices determine which of 4 allies you partner with, each leading to different conclusions. While it has the school setting and choice-driven elements, it lacks true social simulation. It's more SMT than Persona, but may still be worth a look. Lost Dimension is a strategy RPG with a brilliant but divisive gimmick: randomized traders. You lead a team of 11 psychic soldiers, climbing a mysterious tower to stop a terrorist called the End. But at the end of each floor, you must vote to erase, which means kill, one party member who you believe is the traitor. The game features Persona-style social elements where you converse with team members to build relationships, and those better relationships makes you more effective in combat through assist attacks. You can use the protagonist's vision ability to detect suspicious thoughts after battles, then must deduce who the traitor is through logical elimination before the vote. When characters are erased, they drop items that let others use their powers, though losing favorites isn't completely crippling. The system creates genuine tension and forces you to use different party compositions. It's a fascinating experiment in roguelike social deduction with an SRPG framework. The Caligula Effect Overdose and Caligula Effect 2 are directly inspired by Persona, featuring high schoolers trapped in virtual worlds, social links called character episodes, and dungeon exploration. These games lean heavily into the escaping a false reality theme with digital worlds created by rogue AI. The combat uses a unique prediction system where you can simulate turns before committing. While they don't quite reach Persona's polish, fans looking for that specific blend of social links and virtual world mysteries will find something to appreciate here. The sequel improves on the original's rough edges significantly. Mind Zero is a first-person dungeon crawler for PS Vita and PC that wears its Persona inspiration on its sleeve. You play as high school student Kai, whose life changes when he forms a contract with a mind, a weapon/being with deadly powers. The game features character side quests that function as 2D visual novel segments to learn more about your party, though it lacks true social links. The combat involves summoning your mind in battles, and the game has solid dungeon crawling and an interesting skill card system. It's essentially a budget Persona without the calendar system. And there you have it. Incredible Persona-like experiences to keep you busy while we wait for Persona 6 and Persona 4 Revival. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more deep dives into overlooked gaming gems, and I'll see you in the next video.